Hello, welcome back for episode 21. We are talking about monsters and ghouls today. We have all of us except for Ruthless right now who will be running either fashionably late or might not arrive at all. I don't know.
We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah,
Ruthless,
Yep.
after all.
Ruthless is the wild card of us all.
But in keeping in line with the theme of Halloween this month, we are going to be talking about monster schools and everything in between today. And as having a couple of writers here, I'm pretty sure there's the two of us that have a lot to say about these kind of things, both in the media that we've consumed and in the media we've written as well. We're also a bunch of D&D nerds as well. On top of
Oh,
This
that.
is gonna be fun.
oh yeah, especially in our last campaign with all the skeletons and shit.
What do you mean, just the last campaign? Skeletons are my thing. Like, just as a general thing. That much was kind of obvious given my username.
Yeah, but there was
And
like a
art.
lot of skeletons in our last campaign that we were fighting.
Yeah, skeletons are cool though.
But we know what Skull's favorite thing is.
Yeah.
What? What do you mean?
Yeah, I'd have
But
no
Yeah.
idea, right?
no idea. It's
Who in
like
this
a
world can
mystery.
guess?
um, but yeah, skeletons are definitely one of my favorites when it comes to monsters. Up there, I've got to say, probably like ghosts, poltergeists, all that shit. Newman! Sorry, the cat's trying to steal my cough drops.
Okay.
Um, demons are fun.
To
Especially,
demons.
yeah, demons are fun.
Doing what's like about a hell of a boss it has been then.
Yeah. Hell of a boss.
Oh my
Fingers skills
gosh.
noises.
Fucking love that shit.
Who doesn't?
Probably, the
I
people that just
mean,
hate things because they're popular. Or just
yeah,
generally don't like the humor and all that. Because you
Yeah.
kind of have to admit, like, it's not something I necessarily grew up on, but I kind of see the inspiration. Obviously, like, you see Invader Zim, Billy and Mandy, and things like that. The more, like, edgier cartoons of, like, the early 2000s.
yay.
Which, admittedly, I never watched Invader Zim because that shit was freaky. That shit
Yeah,
freaked me out.
I mean, I've been fascinated with Invader Zim, definitely. I watched it on and off, but like I remember after watching The Dark Harvest, I definitely had to take a step back and stop watching the show for a little bit to recover because organ snatching is kind of scary as a thought.
It is very scary, especially in the context of the alien there.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. At least you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff in Hell of a Boston Has Been. They're all demons, so what does it matter?
yeah.
Which I'm excited
Um,
for the new episode coming out this month, guys.
yeah.
More demons!
Can't wait.
Yay!
But yes. And of course, going in like right after how you said earlier about our last D&D campaign having skeletons and all that, we also had the demons in there too,
Yeah.
which that was fun. Bringing in the primordial, basically angels and demons themselves. Which, thinking on D&D, I'm gonna have to show you something here in a bit, Skull, that made me think of
Excited.
you.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see.
Hold on. You guys keep talking while I find it.
Raptor, what's your favorite monster and or ghoul?
Zombies.
Why?
You want to explain why?
Well, right now, 'cause I'm binging the hell out of The Walking Dead.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Gross. Is
I
there
mean,
any other reason beyond just The Walking Dead?
I mean, I mean that, and also I think I kind of in general just like post-apocalyptic stories.
Different than saying like you like zombies, because like the post-apocalyptic stories can be anything. Normally they have some sort of zombies or like ghouls, like obviously like the Fallout series have like the actual ghouls themselves, like
Yeah.
The giant mosquitoes.
gosh,
I
yeah,
don't like
things
giant
affected by
mosquitoes.
nuclear radiation and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But like the zombies is a large variety, and I don't think they just came up in post-apocalyptic kind of scenarios. Usually it's more horror that you see zombies
Yeah.
kind of pop up. I mean,
Well,
look at just about almost any kind of like video game that kind of features zombies as like the main villains and things like that, or main obstacles. Look at the Left 4 Dead series. Ah,
Left
bless
4
Oh
Dead
those.
is a good
yeah, Left 4
series.
Dead.
Which,
Yes,
to be
miss those
fair,
games.
aren't actually zombies. They're infected people, but because of like what it makes them like zombies. But
Yeah, there's still
Mhm.
zombies. Like they're dead and
they're actually
alive at
not.
the.
They're actually not dead. So this goes into like fan theories and things like that regarding the actual like Left 4 Dead infected, because they are actual people infected with the disease essentially that makes them what they are. Because if you notice, I remember the YouTube video because I watched it a long time ago, but they pointed out the difference between the infected in Left 4 Dead 1 versus 2, and how in 2 it looks like the special infected are far more mutated than in the first one. And then the infected in 2 look like they're going through stages like dehydration and starvation and things like that, how they're a little more falling apart. So it's kind of like they're still alive, but they're not able to actually manage themselves, so they're also dying.
Well, isn't it the same thing with the ghouls in like the Fallout games as well? Well, they're
That I
technically
can't answer. That'd be Raptor's thing right there.
Well, the thing is like the nuclear fire and radiation messes up their bodies, like scars them all over, and in the worst cases, the radiation even like completely rots their brains to the point where they become just like zombie-like. But you do have some cases where it's everything but the brain rotting. The voices are messed up, but they're still people.
Which usually in traditional zombies, they're literally again the Walking Dead. They are reanimated corpse. Like take again, they like Adventure Time with the Slumber Party Panic. They're literally people brought back from the dead. That's the
yeah.
traditional sense of a zombie.
Yeah.
Or even look at like an old what was it, Scooby Doo movie? I can't remember what it was, but it's like it was the one with like the the two ladies where they turned into like cat people, and they were gonna sacrifice the gang as part of a ritual to keep them young.
Eh.
Yeah, it was weird. But basically, while they were on this island, there was like these ghosts warning them to like get out, and then these ghosts started to basically reanimate the dead to scare the gang off the island because they knew what was coming. They knew that the gang was going to be sacrificed. They basically
Oh.
joined their ranks. It wasn't until that the cat demons were killed that the dead basically returned to their graves and the spirits moved on. You kind of, I also now that I'm thinking about it, you kind of see that in like Elder Scrolls Online too. In some of the dungeons, you'll have these wisps kind of floating around. The one in Gold Coast, I'm thinking more specifically, where they'll float around if you don't destroy them first. Then they'll dive into the ground and then they'll animate a corpse, basically a zombie.
Ah.
Cool.
And usually it's a skeleton corpse more often than not, but you do get the zombie corpses.
Skeletons.
Yeah, skeletons we know
Yeah,
all too well.
skeleton. Jesus.
So again, like when you say zombie, it's like a large variety of them, and there's lots of different iterations of them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to zombies, could you technically consider that one crab mushroom Pokemon a zombie? given
Some
the
people,
fact
yeah,
that
some people
it's
do kind of
final
consider that a
evolution.
zombie. Parasect, yeah.
Yeah, the final evolution. In one of the Pokedex entries, it straight up says that the fungus on its back just completely took it over.
See, it's basically a zombie, or at least like in our sense of a zombie is like someone who just doesn't have control of themselves anymore and is kind of like dead on the inside.
Yeah.
Well, that's a mode.
It is a mood.
Yeah.
Who hasn't felt like that recently? Leave a comment. But aside from the zombies of The Walking Dead, because I'm gonna paraphrase it that way. Any other kind of monsters that you like?
I mean, I guess I'll agree with Skull. Some demons are kind of cool.
Oh, you got my hopes up and you said you agreed with me.
What?
I was hoping it was going to be more along the other line of cool monsters and creatures. What did you expect from me?
Nothing more, to be entirely honest with you.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Pretty much. Well, I can always expect less, but I don't expect more.
Mm.
And yes, I'm a bitch.
Yeah.
But these we know.
Even skeletons and demons, I find vampires to be pretty cool, especially when you get into not Twilight vampires. God, not those, please. But like,
Okay, look, I'm not here to defend Twilight, but I'm just gonna say this right now. There are so many different iterations of vampires, just like there is with zombies. It just depends on who's writing it. I do agree that Stephanie Myers did write more of like a fae kind of like vampire, but it was interesting enough actually, like considering the concept that she had. I don't care for the story and the characters, but I do like the concept of what the vampire is in her stories.
describe horror movie badly. Emo chick's years-long struggle on whether or not she wants to go with a corpse or a dog. That's just the best description of horror movie ever.
I mean, to be fair, you get a lot of that more recently too, in a lot of romance, especially like the fantasy paranormal romances, especially the really raunchy ones. Yeah, you heard me. Uh, they usually tend to go for more of like, the vampire werewolf thing, but usually in some of them you kick it up to 11 and you actually include the sex scenes in it.
Oh joy.
Yeah, it doesn't take long in some of those things. Like, you could just be reading a fine romance, then it's like, boom, sex scene. I'm like, okay, we're doing this now, I guess.
Oh boy.
I didn't sign up for this, but I'm here already, I guess. Oh my gosh. Because just putting a pin in the vampire thing, I want to just mention this. So, like, fairies are another kind of monster. Obviously, you see a lot because, like, it's fairies.
Really?
Well,
Like,
they're
when
not
you see a lot of
human.
it's fairies. How would you not see a lot of fairies? It's like the perfect thing. Like, I mean, you got the fairy franchise from Disney with like Pixie Hollow and everything. You've got fairies in fucking Dungeons and Dragons. I'm pretty sure they come from Celtic mythology. I could be wrong, but I know Celtic has a lot of that. The banshees, the fairies, was it leprechauns and gnomes and things like that?
I wouldn't know. This
Yeah.
is one of the few mythologies
I
that
was
I'm
about to
not
say, you
familiar
disappoint
with.
me as the mythology nerd.
I lean more towards like Greek and Norse.
Ah, dear lord.
I'm sorry.
Disappointment.
I'm sorry.
Gosh.
But
But
only partially sorry because when it comes to the words Norse mythology, it's more of like a heritage thing for me.
that's fair. But along with like fairies, you got many different subsections of fairies. You got fae and pixies and things like that. And you also see a lot of fae being used. I mean, obviously you have them in Dungeons and Dragons more specifically. You deal with the fae creatures more specifically in the I'm sure you've heard Ruthless kind of go on about like, oh, never trust a fae or fae are never up to any
The
good
Fae
and things like
traits.
that.
The
Pretty
Fae
much.
traits. The trial.
Okay,
Bastian fucking Raptor's character.
which one of you was it that broke free first? Wasn't it you,
It was
Skull?
it was me. Raptor took forever to break free from that.
That was
Oh
great.
my god.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's part of like mythology and lore and whatnot, not just like in Dungeons and Dragons, but used in like other pieces of media as well. You never accept any food from a fae. Never.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very
Hmm.
common thing. Um,
Yeah.
Really?
I recently just saw a Tumblr thread about that actually, where it was talking about like fey creatures running cafes and coffee shops and stuff,
Oh
and
no.
Oh
just
god, no.
well, like I don't know, it was really funny though, because there's just all this like, as long as you're paying for the stuff beforehand, right? It's fine. But if you take it and it's just offered without a catch, you usually owe the face something in return.
Or like a
Like
bunch of other
continue.
things. It just kind of
Yeah,
depends. Because like if I'm not mistaken, in Dungeons and Dragons, or at least in certain versions of it, depends on like if it's homebrew or based on the actual lore and whatnot. Some of the Fey treats are considered very obviously there's a word for it, rich, decadent, otherworldly, essentially. That once you start eating them, you cannot stop. Like, it's almost like
yeah,
an addiction. It's like a drug,
yeah,
a
yeah.
drug in like basic food form. You'll constantly get like cravings for it. I remember, I think it was one of you two, one of your two characters just could not get the memory of the treats out of your minds, and
I
you
think it
guys.
was I think it was Bassy
I
because
think
I
it was
ended up
Bassy.
writing them to be obsessed with like baking and stuff afterwards.
That's right.
Food is the new
Well,
crack.
basically, Fae treats are the new. There was a one story I remember reading. It was another like a kind of romance kind of thing going on there, where if I'm not mistaken, the main character was like half Fae or was destined to be with the Fae King,
Hmm.
but she was refusing him because I guess she didn't love him and wanted to be with someone else. But she accepted the food of a Fae without realizing it and was starting
Oh
to turn Fae
no!
herself,
Uh-oh.
basically having given herself over to the Fae.
Oh joy!
Yeah. And I think you imagine little high school me was kind of annoyed that yes, he did trick her, but at the same time, she was like just completely refusing him despite everything that was going on. Like it felt like she was causing a lot of the problems.
Yeah.
That I completely stopped reading the series because it went on for more books after that. But I'm just like, nope, I can't do it.
Oh, why? Sometimes it's best to just leave a story at one book and that's it. There are some stories that don't need to be brought further than that.
Yeah, I that we'll try. Unfortunately, but going back to the vampire thing, no, yeah, like I don't know. You see vampires everywhere. And I know I would not deny that Twilight definitely had an impact on the vampire and even the werewolf scene, to be entirely fair. But
Bad noises.
I mean, come on, it's not that bad. It just means you get more sexy vampires and werewolves.
Mm. Fair enough.
Ha! See, I got you. Ha!
Fair
See, like
enough.
it's okay. Look, to be fair, yes, Twilight is obviously not the best thing. It is basically a story of an abusive love from all
Yeah,
sides.
I mean, it don't even need to get into the fact that, dude's thousands of years older than her.
Is that thousands of years old? Okay, look, I know enough about the franchise. And he's only like, what's the actual difference? Like 90 some years older than her?
That's definitely not questionable considering the fact that she was a teenager or anything when the fucking shit started. Just, you know, let's not question it,
And
apparently.
look,
Mm.
age of consent is a thing, I suppose. And she consented.
But that's still really sketchy.
Well, I mean, how old was vampire in vampire years? Translate vampire to human years or whatever.
You're a
I
fucking
think that
dumbass.
depends on the lore. Also, I agree with Lotus. After you're a bit of a dumbass.
It's the
Okay.
same, basically. The vampire is just a human that's undead and sucks blood and can't get into the sunlight, depending on the lore.
Yeah. It
And
really depends on the
I
lore.
don't just mean Twilight either, because even like The Sims with their vampires do vary a lot. You have some that won't die from being in the sunlight, but then you have some that do die from being in the sunlight. And then you look at Elder Scrolls with their vampires as well. Like Oblivion vampires are fucking awful. You step into the sun, you start dying immediately. You start losing health, and it sucks complete ass. It's not even worth being a vampire in Oblivion. Morrowind, no one even talks to you. I think the same. I've never played Morrowind as a vampire, but I think it's the same thing where you start dying the moment you leave anywhere if you're outside. Skyrim, I think your stats are just reduced if you go into the sunlight, which is actually a lot more preferable than dying immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I like vampires. I've never really, you know, I don't really
Hmm.
hated them, but you do see them a lot in more romances as well as the fantasies, which again calls into like questions that really
Boy.
you don't want to be thinking about because it's vampires.
Yeah.
Mm.
At least it's not
Here.
like a. At least werewolves are a little bit better, right? At least they're alive, but they might tear you to pieces. Oh my gosh.
It dies of gay.
So of the two, I have to ask now, which do you prefer, skull werewolves or vampires?
It really depends on the lore, honestly. But let's let's not get into this.
This is what we're here for, Skull. Come on. We're here to talk about monsters, and werewolves and vampires are monsters, so come on. Let's
Come
go.
on, let's go.
I don't know if I want to say this because I'm going to be judged heavily for my opinions on this.
You're always judged no matter what, so let's hear it.
Come on, Skull, spill it.
Uh,
Come on.
for vampires over werewolves for one very specific reason that I am not going to disclose because of. I'm just not going to disclose any further.
Oh, come on, Skull.
You guys know I'm a degenerate. Do I really need to go into this?
Yes, let's hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
God damn it. Bangs.
So I'm guessing you like to be bit.
Interesting.
I didn't want to say anything.
That's fun.
Guys and gay.
Oh, jeez. But wait, they both have fangs. So, which one do you prefer more?
Vampires.
I don't know. You think werewolves, because like I think those fangs would be a little bit. I don't know. More. And there's no worry of like sucking blood. You just might have to worry about having a. Yeah, you know.
Uh,
I'm here to make it more awkward for you, Skull, and I'm enjoying it.
I have nothing else to say on this.
For now.
I have nothing to add to this. I've already embarrassed myself for.
Oh, you think that's embarrassing? We could add to that if you'd like.
Why do I say anything?
uh,
Why are you guys like
because
this?
because we're your friend. and this is what real friends are like.
I
What was
guess
it? It
you
was a meme like
mean.
what was it? It was a meme where a friend would call you an idiot, but a best friend would call you an idiot and join you. That I agree with.
Prize.
Hey, at least we care, right?
Yeah.
But any other monsters? Come on, guys. Can't just talk about these two.
Ghosts are fun.
Mm.
Again, depends on how they're written. Uh, no particular reasons on why or anything.
I mean, I've seen a fair share of ghosts in Harry Potter.
That's the only time you've seen ghosts is Harry Potter.
No, no, not just Harry Potter.
It's like a general concept. I just find ghosts to be interesting, especially with the fact that because they're not really something that's like they're different depending on who's writing them, and it's really cool to see how different interpretations of ghosts can be done. You know,
I suppose.
you've got like Ghostbusters as one interpretation, which is
Yeah,
entertaining, and then you've
Ghostbusters.
got opposite side of the spectrum with
The female
well,
Ghostbusters.
God no. We don't talk about that. The movie is a disaster.
Hey, kitten.
You got like entertaining ghosts. You got the entertaining, like, this is silly, this is for fun, sort of. You've got that, and then you've got the other side of the spectrum with horror and the kind of stuff they can pull off with ghosts there. It's just there's such a wide spectrum of different things you can do with ghosts. It's fun.
Yeah. Someone who's seen a fair share of, horror stories with ghosts and all that fun stuff, to the point of almost traumatizing, and who's also had experience with the supernatural in life. I'm not too fond of ghosts and spirits and things like that.
Definitely an understandable thing. I'm not
Yeah.
when it comes to fiction, I have no issue, but when it comes to like the issues with like actual spirits and shit, that's kind of where I draw my line. Especially because they're really unpredictable and you don't know whether one's going to be dangerous or not.
Well, usually the dangerous ones are the ones that actually move objects. And I'm gonna just say this right now: for those who want to believe what we say is true or not, that's all on you. But we've had our own experiences, and we know what we've seen. We know what we believe. So you're free to disagree with us at all. But we're just gonna share this as what we believe is genuine fact.
This ought to be interesting.
Yes. Uh, but for my reasons for not really caring for ghosts, again, is more grounded in reality because of experiences between not just me, but also my sister. My sister is far more in tune than I am, mostly because I tend to try to shut them out the best I can, but they still linger from time to time, and I will see them from time to time. I usually see the orbs. Typically, it's when I'm working at my laptop, I'll see them run along my arm and things like that. You should have
Oh,
seen today, actually. My sister was explaining to our cousin how she didn't bring her anklet with her when she went to Nashville, but then it showed up there randomly. And as she was recording herself, there is a very visible orb, and I kid you not, it is a spirit orb, hands down, no questions.
oh,
You see it
Mm.
tap the top of her head, jump up, and run down the side of her.
that sounds terrifying.
It's cool though. Yes, it is terrifying, but these experiences are real.
Um, Honestly, if I went through an experience like that, I would wish for a flask of holy water.
It's not that bad, Raptor. If you see orbs, there's nothing necessarily innately evil about it. It's when things are actually moving that you want to be concerned about it. Because we've seen objects move from time to time. When we were younger, she saw this massive glowing orb right before it slammed the door shut. Those are the ones you need to be careful of.
I mean, I do remember I when I lived in this apartment at some point. It was like a year or two, a couple of years ago, I think. Like a year or two ago, whatever. Yeah, a year ago. Window blinds just some of our window blinds just started moving randomly for no reason.
Good joy. That's
That
always fun.
that
I feel
alone
that
No.
that alone scared
Fucking
the shit out of
cat.
me.
there was one time when I was younger, we had kind of just moved into the house and weren't here that long. I remember waking up one morning, it was like 8 a.m., and I heard the banging of my dad's drum. And I got annoyed and I started running out there to like see if he was actually down there because I'm like, why the fuck is he down there at 8 in the morning? And as soon as I enter the kitchen, he's sitting in the kitchen, looking like he's falling asleep.
Uh,
Uh huh. Isn't quite compared to what my sister experienced when she was visiting our family up
Oh no.
north. Okay,
oh,
so a little bit of context for this one, and again, this is why I say like you can believe what you want from what we say, but these are genuine experiences of the supernatural. And my sister again is very in tune, so spirits are naturally drawn to her because of what she is. She's like a modern day witch essentially.
huh.
And my our aunt, lives in a how do I say this? What would you expect to be a farmhouse, obviously.
Uh,
But the problem is it's kind of like a plantation house. You know, hint hint nudge nudge. That
uh,
kind.
oh.
What?
And my sister is very quick to point out how she can sense the negative spirits lingering in the land because that kind of stuff doesn't get let go so easily. And it takes a lot to get those spirits to move on. And part of the house is like the milk room, which also then leads downstairs to the cellar. Well, she was sitting there one day calling out to Elaine, our cousin, with the dog next to her. And while she's doing that, she hears a voice call back to her from the cellar.
Oh.
And no one was down in the cellar.
Oh
Okay. Oh
no.
no.
There was also one day where our other cousin was kind of just relaxing on the trampoline at night, and she felt something tug her hair.
Nuh-uh.
And that's when my sister's like, "Get your ass inside now."
Yeah. Run away from that shit.
Mm-hmm. Even myself, I don't feel comfortable staying in that house after night. I did spend the night when I went to go visit our aunt in her house, and let me tell you, I was not comfortable. The dog and cat stayed with me all night because I'm pretty sure they could sense my own discomfort.
Um.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
that's.
was not fun. That's why you gotta be careful with like some of the places. Like if you do feel a genuine bad feeling, be very careful
Like you kind
because
of like feel it in your gut, you mean?
you feel it in your gut, you feel it in your body. Like it's almost like a whole body experience. You feel it. It's not just your gut. Like you can feel it almost like it's crawling upon every sense of your body that just makes you so uneasy, and it's very unwelcoming. Essentially, yes, you'll feel it in your gut. That's where you initially feel it, but as it travels through your body, that's how you know it's really bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna have fun sleeping tonight.
You're welcome. An introduction to our scary stories. But some other experiences, which are lots of fun. Let me just tell you that this happened more a little bit younger before I actually started like pushing them out completely. Well, I say pushing them out completely, but like just refusing to actually acknowledge them. Because keep this in mind, Raptor. The more you acknowledge them, the stronger they can get. Because you're giving them a sense of grounding. You're giving them, energy, an
Okay,
anchor,
Are we
essentially.
still talking about spirits?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
that's
so I've
good to
got
know.
I've got two spirit stories actually.
We'll get to them in 1 second.
All right. Yeah, sorry for disappearing.
No, you're good.
No.
I mean, just sharing with Raptor some of like the spooky, not really like spooky real ghost stories here. But no, yeah. So Raptor, the more you communicate and acknowledge a spirit, the stronger they get, and the more grounded they become, and you become like an anchor to them
Oh.
because you acknowledge them. So when I was probably in my earlier 20s, a spirit was trying to reach out to me. I'm pretty sure it's because I said their name without realizing it and
Oh.
called out to them. And because of this, I wouldn't acknowledge them back after they tried reaching out to me. So they went to my sister and went to her instead. And she was the one who told me they were trying to reach out to me. And so then I let them in to try and like communicate with them because they were trying to reach out to me.
Mm.
Their name was Breathe. And my first kind of interaction with them was in a dream where I saw a woman with long brown hair, a very kind of old, almost like it felt old, like I wouldn't say 1800s, but maybe 1800s, somewhere in that time. Like it felt very old with the way that the dream portrayed this person. Like the way they were dressed was very traditional, conservative with the old timey dress. It was white too, almost like a wedding gown, but not a wedding gown.
Oh.
And also to keep this in mind, the older a spirit is, the less of a face they'll have. And, if they're really old, they'll have no face at all, which is another tip because the spirit did not have a face in the dream.
Oh.
So it was an old spirit.
So it might even be 1700s?
I'm placing more 1800s, but yeah, basically, like the older they are, the less likely they are to have a face.
Mm.
But
Man.
as I kind
That
of
makes
fun stuff, right? But as I
yeah.
kind of opened up a little bit to them, I started noting some more interesting things. One night when I was going to bed, I felt something touch the temple of my forehead and stroke my cheek.
Oh.
Like it was comforting me, kind of thing.
Huh.
And this is probably the more freakiest ones that's happened to me personally. But I was listening to a instrumental piece called Question of Purpose. And it's an 8-minute song, and there is a point where there are vocalizations in it, like the basic, not actual words, but just harmonizing. You can get what I mean. But basically, as I'm listening to the song, in pitch, in tone with the song itself, I hear my name called out.
Oh.
Yes. Imagine me trying to go to bed, listening to this music, and in tune with the song, a woman's voice, is calling my name.
Um.
Yes.
Spooky shit.
Mm.
The type of spooky shit that makes you shit your pants.
It was definitely terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of scared after I heard that. But no, ever since then, I haven't really seen Braith really that strong, if she's still around. But I have seen orbs. Again, they travel along my arm like they're trying to almost like they're stroking my arm kind of thing. Or like you'll see them hover around my hand as I'm typing and things like that. And occasionally I'll see them float along my laptop as well. So they're very much there. Probably the biggest one I've seen was when I know it wasn't a trick of like darkness and light kind of thing because I had my lights on, my overhead lights on. But I was working on my computer. I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I remember looking down and there was a yellow orb pulsing on top of that, a yellow pulsing orb the size of my palm that lingered over my hand.
It's
Ooh.
interesting. I've never seen orbs before, but I've definitely seen figures.
I've seen like you know like how there's like shadows in the corner of your eyes?
Yeah.
They're a little too fat. Yep, I've seen those. There was one time I can't really. So this is the one incident where I can't tell if it's just a trick of the mind because of how young I was, or it was genuinely an apparition. But when I was younger, probably about 4 or 5, again, I can't really say to the validity of this because of how young I was, but I vividly remember the encounter. So again, take it for what you will and whatnot. But I remember waking up from a nightmare and going into the hallway. And you know, when you're young, you're going to stand out there and be like, do I want to wake up my parents because I had a nightmare and have them maybe like yell at me to go back to bed?
Ooh.
So
That's
I
that. That's
decided
that.
to instead lay down in the hallway outside her door to not wake her up but be close to her.
Mhm.
Oh.
Well, I turned toward the stairwell. And I remember seeing a person's shadow walking up the stairs on the wall.
Oh.
I got freaked out and ran into my mom's room, told her I had a nightmare, and cuddled right up next to her.
Hmm.
And the only other person in the house was my great grandmother, but the woman couldn't walk upstairs. She actually had to stay downstairs because of her legs at the time. So I knew it wasn't her.
Oh.
And I just remember getting so terrified when I saw the shadow. Like it was pure fear.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
for me, growing up, I'd spend every summer with my grandma. And up until about 9 years ago, this is quite a story, but like from the minute that my family moved into the house, right? Like grandma and all them, everyone has had bad encounters in that basement. The worst one that we had, like it was you couldn't be down there by yourself. Like all of us, me, my brother, my cousins, we'd have different experiences. We all had to be down there together. Bad things, just always something happening. Things would get moved. We'd like people like grabbing all sorts of stuff. My grandpa was sent down the stairs one night. Like it was just fucking bad. Um, it was one of those things where you got really unsettled. You felt like you needed to run up the stairs because something was behind you constantly. We couldn't sleep down there with the lights off. It was scary shit. And it was like that for years. It wasn't until my uncle went. I've told you guys the story about what happened with my uncle. I'm not going to tell it here because it's a lot. But
Yeah.
whatever
yeah.
was in that basement, when he went, he took it with him. We haven't had any issues since. But it was definitely just scary. It was uncomfortable, just always with that house, with the backyard. My auntie, when she was younger, she was followed home by a shadow man in a top hat. Never a good
Oh.
thing.
Yeah,
Oh.
no.
Shadow creatures are
Oh.
the fucking worst. Those are usually demons, right? And this thing, my auntie
Oh.
fucking
I believe
ran
so.
down the street. This thing followed her. Anyways, by the time she finally got into the house and someone opened the door, this thing was at the steps. And ever since then, in the night or anything, like after it gets dark, you have to close the curtains or it feels like someone was watching you. If you're
Oh.
upstairs, you can't sleep with the curtains open. You have to walk out of the room. You feel like something is wrong. Never anything happening in the house, but you get this feeling that there is something out there watching you that shouldn't be there.
Oh, fuck no.
I'm asking
Yeah,
Kitty about the your question about the shadow people being demons, because she would know most of all about these things.
yeah. Most of the time, they're demons or negative spirits, from what my aunties told me. The weirdest experience I've had on my own, though, I was about 12 or 13. It was the middle of the winter, and I was out waiting for the bus. I was alone at the bus stop. I was standing under the street light.
Oh.
Hear this whispering from behind me, and I turn around and I see someone standing there. I have never. I usually get when it's like a bad encounter or whatever, but I don't know. There was something familiar about this figure. Stared at it for a little bit, looked away, and I never did figure out what it was, but whoever, like, well, I never figured out who it was, but it was definitely a family member, someone I knew at some point, past life, something. There was that familiarity. No like discomfort or whatever. It was just this I know you feeling.
At least that's good.
Strange.
It's strange, but at least it's not dread,
Yeah.
because that's always the worst thing to feel.
Yeah.
To add on top of that, I've never actually seen figures like that, but I have experienced other voices calling my name. There was one time I was going to the mailbox, and keep this in mind, where I live and like the neighborhood I live in, no one knows who I am. They don't know my name; they just know me as one of the
Uh-huh.
neighbors.
Uh-huh.
And I remember hearing first time it was a woman calling my name. It was my first and last name they called out,
Oh.
and it kind of gave me pause, and I looked around. And I'm like, "There's no one here." Then second time I did it, it was a man's voice calling out my first and last name.
Oh.
Yikes.
So Kitty said generally yes, but can also be very, very bad spirits in
Mm.
regards to the
Yeah.
shadow person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there you go, Raptor.
Yeah.
Have fun sleeping tonight.
Is that shit that you can get rid
Oh,
of
I've got
with
another
holy
one.
water or something?
Another one. Okay. I've
Get
got
sage.
another one.
Sage
So
better.
same place. Same place. I was living out. I was like maybe 13 or 14 years old. I was with my cousin, the one that is constantly outing me as a baby muncher for no reason. But they know who they are. They'll remember this. But we were going to my house for a sleepover one night. It was the middle of the night. We step outside off of the deck in their backyard, and there's a street light out in front of their house. And when we get down there, we look, and there is this man standing under the streetlight, dressed in all black, just like the palest skin, no facial features whatsoever. We thought, okay, this is fine. We'll start walking. I look over my shoulder, and this fucker is following us. So I pointed out to my cousin. She sees it too, right? We take off fucking running. We are scared. Like, just it was another one of those, we're there, we're banging on the door, terrified, and this thing is fucking at the stairs by the time we get into the house. Never did we get that, like, oh shit, like, there's someone watching us from outside feeling like we did at my grandma's place, but that was a fucking scary experience. You're
Ugh.
chased, banging on the door, you turn around, and when you point out the person, they're not there anymore.
I just shared with Kitty the experience my sister had today with the orb. Her
Mhm.
first question was it bright or soft? I'm like, fuck if I should know. I just remember it was very clear and defined. Like, it was a full-on orb. Like, it's probably more defined than the ones that I see. Mine are more softer.
Man.
You know the
Well, if we
difference
were
between the
supposed to be
two?
talking about monsters and ghouls, and this has just become paranormal encounters with
Well,
Skull
to
and
be fair,
Lewis.
it's still monsters essentially because monsters in quotes, I should say,
I mean,
because
still
Yeah.
qualifies, yeah.
yeah, no matter what your beliefs are, because again, this varies on people's beliefs. Some people may believe in ghosts and spirits and the paranormal, some may not, and things like that. However, these are things that are grounded in reality, and you find a lot of stories do come from reality. So, especially when it comes to spirits, because again, there is a lot of debate if they are real or not, if it's fabricated or real. But as Skull and me have kind of gone into, oh, good to know. Yeah, me and Skull have like talked about like these are real, genuine experiences that we've had.
Yeah.
We know what we've experienced. We're not completely crazy. We
Yeah.
are a little crazy, but we are not that
Mhm.
crazy.
Well, given the fact that there are enough people who have shared similar experiences, you can't rule it out as an impossibility if there are enough people who have had similar experiences and given testimonies. Like we're definitely not
Yeah,
alone out in the world.
we're not. Especially when like we have these kind of experiences and like again when you see other stuff it's like it's like one show I used to watch quite a bit when I was a little more in that paranormal phase in quotes was Ghost Adventures on the Travel Channel.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh my
you
god,
know,
yes.
like remember when they went to the island where it was so full of death from like the Black Death itself in Italy? Do you remember that episode?
I don't remember. The only episode I remember really clearly is the one where they went to Alcatraz.
Oh, well, there was one episode where there's like this little island off of like the coast of Italy that they had sent all the plague people, like people who had the plague, the Black Death. They
Yeah.
sent them there to essentially die. It was like their quarantine.
Oh.
And again, you'd have like all the plague doctors go over there and whatnot and so on and so forth. But while they were there, they had spirits causing them to become very aggressive towards each other. This feelings of dread as they walked around. They even caught what looked like an apparition running on the bridge when he was wearing a plague doctor mask.
Holy shit! Oh my god, you just reminded me of. Oh no. Oh
Um,
no.
you
You just
good?
reminded me of the last experience I had in my grandma's basement before. But. That was scary. So. You guys know how bad Ouija boards are, right?
Oh, of
Yeah,
course, my sister
I've
used to use
heard.
one all the time.
Mm. You know how dangerous they can be, right?
Yeah, you can summon demons with them.
I've
Yeah.
heard.
So my cousins and I, right? We were visiting for Christmas. We were all really young, but we went down to the basement after no one had been down there for quite some time, right? Like we had one person. My grandpa has a friend who lives with them, and he stays in the basement. But he's a miner, and he works 2 weeks in, 2 weeks out, right? And he was out. He had been gone for that period of time. But we go downstairs, and when we get down there, we find a Ouija board sitting on the coffee table. We take it. We like we tell grandma. She says okay. Like we she brings out the holy water or whatever, and like tells us what to do because she can't go downstairs. She was in a wheelchair. So we dealt with it and then we got rid of it. And fuck, I think it was like an hour later, we go back downstairs and there's a fucking like the plague doctor masks.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was one of those sitting on the coffee table in the exact same spot, and nobody knows where it came from.
Uh,
No one knows where the Ouija board came from. No one knows where the mask came from.
oh
Oh
fuck.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, question, where can you actually get holy water? Like, real holy water?
Just go to a church. and ask.
So you could literally go to any church, or does it have to be a particular religion or anything?
Usually, like holy water is usually like a thing from like based in Christianity, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, but can it be like any form of Christianity? Is what I'm saying.
It should be fine with any form. I mean, like it's all like the general rough, just like different sets of whatever, but same base, right?
Oh,
I have no idea.
I don't
right.
know, but yeah.
Actually, I
Yeah.
want to see if I can send this to you guys over Discord because my sister just sent me the video.
Okay.
Of the orb thing.
So what you will, if it lets me send it, let me check that first. Haha.
It's sent.
So it's sending. Yep. So look for at the top of her head, you'll see something move off screen. Then you'll see something tap her head, and then move down her arm.
I go back underneath.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see this.
Oh no, I gotta skip it back.
Yeah,
I go
like
back
watch the right
underneath.
hand side. You'll see the orb fly
Oh
by,
shit!
and
Oh
then you'll
shit!
see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
saw it.
see
I
it.
saw it.
You see that?
Holy
What do you
shit!
guys think of that?
Holy
Whoa,
shit! I
I've never
saw
seen
that.
orb before.
I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Oh my god. Okay. I just remembered something. Um, so you guys know how Snapchat filters work? Like they register the face and they'll like put on the filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My auntie has something following her, and sometimes my auntie will go to like take selfies and stuff with Snapchat filters, and whatever it is following her will show up in the filter, like the face will be there. And she'll be
That's
there by
funny
herself.
as hell.
It's funny as hell. It's just it's
But also
random.
terrifying, but like
Yeah. Especially if you go right, you just casually like take out your phone to take a picture, and then you change your filter, and next thing you know, this face fucking pops up right next to you. I don't know. My auntie's never gotten like a bad feeling from the like experiences she's had. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like family members messing with us, because they do that sometimes. I mean, my grandma before she passed, her words were literally, "I am going to haunt all of you when I die."
Oh fuck.
So she messes with us sometimes.
Mm.
at least it's
Fun.
not like one of Kitty's relatives. One of her older relatives did not like the family and told them all, "I will die on a day that none of you will ever forget." You wanna know what day that was?
What day?
Valentine's Day.
Oh shit.
So she essentially cursed her family, so yeah.
Wow. Hey, son of a bitch! I've got the hiccups.
So, yeah. Paranormal, spirits, and ghosts.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that inspires horror stories.
Yeah, it really is.
Because exactly the kind of experiences that you and I have kind of been sharing are like the start of almost any horror film, and then the end of every
Yeah.
horror film.
Yeah. I
uh,
honestly, when it comes to like horror movies, I'm really iffy. But there have definitely been a couple of ones that I've watched that have been based around ghosts where I couldn't stop watching. I wasn't even scared. I was just like, holy shit, this is interesting. Like, if you've ever seen M. Night Shyamalan's The Sixth Sense, that's a really good movie. It's technically a horror movie in quotes. It's more along the lines of like thriller. But God, the plot twist.
yeah.
You've got this little boy who sees ghosts, right? And
I
he's
see
working
dead
with
people.
yeah, you got this little boy who sees ghosts, and he's working with a child psychologist, right? Anyways, we go through the movie, and it's like between both, we get the point of view of the kid and also this child psychologist. Do you guys mind if I spoil the movie? It's an old
Isn't
movie.
isn't the child psychologist dead?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I thought. I know which one you're talking about.
yeah. I really enjoyed it. It's fun.
I definitely remember that one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
exactly.
boy.
Don't mind me. I'm kind of talking between my sister and Melissa, a kitty.
You're
My
good.
bad. And
You're good. I'm getting jittery right now. I had energy drink before. This is the first time I've gotten jittery from caffeine in a long time. Other creatures. What do you guys think of like aliens and all the traditional like?
nope, I can't. So anything sci-fi alien related gives me bad existential dread. So I tend to stay away from sci-fi and aliens as a result.
I don't mean like just that, but like all sorts of like the super like the creatures that come from superstition more so specifically.
It's, how do you mean by that exactly?
Like Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster, like all of those type of.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's kind of hard to tell, especially when you have a lot of conspiracy theories out there, like they exist, and it's like, do they? But then,
yeah,
like, I don't know. It's hard to say because, like, you could almost say that these monsters do exist, but like, again, we just like, oh no, they don't because this and that. It's like, well, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say because like we're sitting here talking, like, sharing our experiences about like the paranormal and spirits and those being real. So it's like, I don't know.
yeah,
It's hard to say.
honestly, after some of the conspiracy shit that I've heard, I just like tend to just stay away from like Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster stuff like that, cause people come up with some weird ass shit.
That's very true.
I find the conspiracy theories to be entertaining, but
They are, but then it gets you thinking, like, well, maybe kind of things.
yeah.
Oh, going back to spirits just for a hot minute, banshees. So we know the
Ooh,
legends. We know the legends of banshees, right?
What?
a little bit.
So essentially, a banshee is a woman who's passed on and is usually a guardian of a family. And when you hear her scream, it means someone either like someone is going to experience death soon.
Oh,
Yes, it's a
Banshee.
warning. It's I believe it's supposed to be more of a benevolent spirit, but I think it just kind of depends. But she's
It
meant to
seems
be a warning. Which the reason why I go to this is because there was actually one day I had my window open, and it was nighttime, mind you, and
like,
all my neighbors are old people with no kids or anything like that, or if they do have kids, they're old, like adults at the
yeah.
time, and I was a teenager. Well, I remember you're just kind of going around my room, cleaning and whatnot, and all of a sudden I hear a woman scream from outside.
Oh,
Yes. I told my sister, and she's like, that might have been a banshee. And
uh,
she's like, good luck. I'm like, oh, thank you.
so wait, who says good luck? Sister or
His
Banshee?
sister, because you know what the banshee scream after.
So they
That's all
only
you.
scream, nothing else.
Typically, yes. Usually, when you hear a banshee, it's when you hear them scream, because their scream is a warning.
Okay.
Don't worry, Raptor. We'll fill your head with lots of this stuff.
Uh,
Having fun.
I mean, hey, Pete. Yeah, the kitten just got spayed like a few days ago, so we're trying to be careful with her.
It's all good. So, anything else? Any other monsters? We talked a lot on ghosts and all that fun stuff.
Any other shit and pants scary shit?
I think that's it for spirits. That's interesting. Kitty said it might have been a fairy. It could have also been a fairy.
What was in that video?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, what are fairies like IRL?
Imagine they're little tricksters. They like pull pranks and things like that.
So they're not like they'll grant you a wish fairies.
No! Raptor, that's... You're a fucking idiot.
Pete. Pete!
Interesting. So after my sister saw the orb, she felt hot, but nothing moved.
She felt hot, but nothing moved.
Yeah. Because usually when you come into contact with a spirit, you will either get ice cold or hot. Sometimes when I come in contact with the orbs, I'll feel a gust of wind when I don't have my fan on. And it gets cold in that area where they touch you. I've actually had a few touch my legs before. It gets really cold around that area. Usually they touch my outer thigh.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's, I'm not gonna say anything.
Hey, they don't touch the inside of the thigh at least. They don't touch the outside. It's kind of, again, like it's a comforting gesture, like what you would do with a family member or a very good friend. So apparently the spirit was curious about my sister, so I just told her that. So this will be interesting.
Oh.
Hey, spirits are interesting, alright? They are terrifying because you never know which one you're dealing with. But just keep in mind, like, if you see shadows, be afraid.
Because those are either demons or negative powered spirits.
Pretty much.
Okay, good to know.
That's why usually, like, again, like, if you see shadows, it's a little more terrifying. Because, again, like, when I shared the story of the potential, shadow I saw when I was younger, and how, again, like, I'm not sure if it actually was a shadow or not, because how well I remember things, and how young I was and whatnot, it was fear I felt. And usually when you see shadows, you get afraid. So those kind of spirits will do that kind of thing. They will give off that sense of fear and dread that it'll almost immobilize you, essentially.
So, what do you do if, like, if you do, like, come encounter with, like, just a shadow? Do you just run, or?
It depends on the strength of the shadow, I'd say. Like, you can see shadows in the corner of your eye and it not really mean anything. But the moment you start having objects move or door slamming and things, door slamming is an extreme case. All right, I'm going to say that right now. But if you just see stuff moving, then you want to be afraid.
Okay.
So yeah, good little things to know. Basically, and yeah, it's fun stuff, isn't it? Gotta love it. And again, this is where a lot of the kind of like horror stuff comes into play, like horror stories and things you see from that. Like poltergeists are real things, and possessions and all that. Those things are very real. It may not seem like it because again, like when something falls out of your experience, it's hard to take it as a fact or believe it, or because of someone's beliefs. So yeah. Just be careful when dealing with spirits in general. But just know if you see a spirit, like the orb that you just saw in that video I sent to both of you,
Yeah.
basically that is a friendly spirit. It is a
Okay.
brighter orb, is one of the friendlier ones, and it was curious about her, about my sister.
Okay.
If you see softer ones than that, then they're typically older spirits.
Does it really say whether those older spirits are, like, friendly or not, or
They're typically harmless, at least in Kitty's experience.
okay?
So, any other kind of monsters you want to talk about, Raptor? We currently don't have Skull with us. He's away.
Um. Um. Might be a stupid question, but what kind of monster would Frankenstein be?
Frankenstein's monster. Literally just a monster, an abomination. I wouldn't say an abomination, but like a cadaver, maybe? Like Frankenstein's monster is almost like his own thing because Frankenstein is the scientist, and then the monster itself is what most people associate as Frankenstein's monster. So,
Hmm.
what he is like a put together, a pretty much an abomination, like piece together people's parts, I guess, and given life, artificially, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to really say what exactly he is, other than like a golem might be the best way to put it. Something that is artificially created and given life.
Okay, that does actually sound kind of like a golem now that I think
It,
about
it does, yeah. And Frankenstein's monster is its own brand of horror, so. But
it.
yeah, so in that terms, golems are kind of interesting because artificially created. Typically, when we say golems, you would think of stuff like from magic, the stone golems, iron golems, things that don't have any capability of emotion and things like almost like what is AI to us.
Yeah.
Stuff that shouldn't be able to feel. That's just a structure, a servant, or whatever the case may be. I know like Dragon Age Origins had a thing with golems where the dwarves were able to create these beings, but at the cost of someone else's life. Like if you wanted to make a stone or iron golem, you had to kill a dwarf to bring it to life. Otherwise, they were just like statues.
Specifically a dwarf?
Well, it was the dwarves that made them, and they're forged deep underground.
Oh.
So the only lives they really had access to were the dwarves.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, I tend to like golems because you can do a lot with them. You can either make them just like basic slaves, servants, warriors, easily to be disposed of, and that kind of stuff, depending on the media that you're using them in, or you can make them complex creatures. And usually, the material that they vary, vary. You can have clay, stone, iron, steel, or if you really want to be demented and get into the true horror aspect of it all, you can go into flesh golems,
Oh.
which to me are probably the more terrifying because this is definitely rooted in horror.
Yeah.
So again, the Dragon Age series. So there is a plot thread in the second act, and spoilers for those that haven't played the game, but it's also old at this point, so I don't want to hear it. But in Act 2, there's a serial killer that you learn about in Act 1, but you weren't able to do much about it. But in Act 2, he's rearing his ugly head again, and he's taking away women again once more. This all comes to an head when your mother's kidnapped. And right before she was kidnapped, she was given a bouquet of, I think it was white lilies, which is the killer's calling card. So you track the killer to Lowtown, into the foundry. You make your way through his traps and demons that he summoned to find him. And he goes on to the speech about how he's been trying to put together his wife, bring her back to him, and how he's looked long and hard for all the right pieces. And how he's looked the hardest for her face. And how he finally found her face. And that's when he brings the golem to rise up and face you. And you see on this pieced together cadaver is the face of your mother.
Oh.
So essentially, he killed your mother, took her face, and put it onto a flesh golem.
Oh,
That was
hell
meant to
nah.
be a recreation of his dead wife. Made even worse that she's wearing like a wedding kind of dress.
Oh, that's fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's that kind of thing that's rooted in horror a lot of the times. And
I'm
to
back.
really welcome back. We're talking about flesh golems. And to
Woo!
make the matters worse is that when you kill the serial killer, his magic was the only thing keeping the pieced together corpse that has your mother's face on it alive. So the moment you kill him, she essentially dies in your arms.
Oh.
Yeah. So fun stuff.
Flesh golems are fun.
Yeah.
Are we talking like? I'm assuming you mean like D&D sense, right?
Not just D&D, but like in general golems kind of thing. I was sharing with him about in Dragon Age 2 how a serial killer is putting together the pieces of like literally stealing parts of women and then putting them together to make his dead wife again. Like piecing her together from memory kind of thing. You kind of see the same thing in Skyrim, but not actually go full forward with the horror kind of thing. You just get the serial killer who is killing women to find the parts of them that he needs to actually recreate his dead sister.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm. Man. Flesh golems are fun.
Yeah.
I don't know much about like Dragon Age or Skyrim or anything, but when it comes to the D&D side of things, I've definitely had an experience. Well, I got to witness the experience. I was tied up in the woods by cultists the entire time and incapacitated. Yeah, the joys of rolling a nat 1 stealth check as a rogue.
Oh, you poor fucking bastard.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't at the point where I could re-roll stealth.
That's upsetting.
It was early in campaign. Uh-huh. So yeah, I spent most of the session getting to listen to the party fight this flesh golem while being incapacitated and trying to break the spell that had me incapacitated.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, there's been worse. Imagine getting killed by weeping angels.
A weeping angel. Oh boy.
It was fun.
It sounds like it. Always does.
Never did get to continue the campaign past that.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so that's just how the campaign ended.
Which
We were all killed by
actually,
weeping
speaking of
angels.
angels, what do you guys think of those creatures? Because not exactly monsters, but they are creatures, and to some they can be seen as monsters.
Well, which angels are we talking? Are we talking like the really weird, like wing, like light ball
All the
with the
above.
weird rings and wings?
All the above.
Hmm. When it comes to angels, I kind of think of the lore I'm writing for the Forgottens with angels. Yeah. It's fun when you get to write angels as a group of stuck-up assholes who value their very skewed morals over everything else and will cast you out like garbage if you don't follow them.
Pete. Pete. Yeah,
Fun
I think
to play
Pete
with
already
that
misses her little sister already.
concept later. Raptor, what are your
You kind of cut out there.
what's
Hello?
your thoughts on angels?
I mean, um, the last time, the last time I really recall going into anything about angels, I was in a cult. So,
Well, tell us about it.
I mean,
Tell,
you,
tell us about the angels. Curious, which is why I'm asking. I would have moved on or asked Lotus if I didn't care.
I mean, there isn't really much to say that, before God created, Earth,
Oh, for
and
fuck's
after
sake, don't
creating
get
the,
into this. We're not talking about religion in this state.
Oh.
Because if
Just
if you really want to get into the whole,
what, like, we don't need to get into like the big ins and outs of opinion.
yeah, basically in a sense, the way that you can see angels is up to you. There is a very large gray zone, and ultimately they are just as much warriors and killers as demons. I'm gonna say that right now.
really,
When you think about it, how merciless God can be in those terms, and the way the angels can be that way too. That's why when you see in a lot of things, you have those
yeah,
kind of archangels that are those avenging angels that have that merciless side to them. I mean, I believe there's some of those angels like that in D&D too, where they are their avenging angels.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Any other kind of creatures you guys want to talk about? I know this pretty much became like a paranormal talk, but
Yeah, but it's still
Um.
within topic.
Hmm. Hmm. The dragons count?
yes, they do. I was waiting for that.
Really?
Dragons are cool.
Dragons count?
Yes, they're
I
monsters. Okay,
prefer.
Raptor, we've been over this
I
before.
prefer.
What?
Hold on one moment, Skull. Eastern dragons, your Chinese, Japanese, just Eastern in general. These are the dragons that are benevolent and guardians of nature. It is the Western dragons, the ones on all fours, that are the malevolent forces of destruction, the monsters. We've been over this.
I
Hmm.
when it
Go
comes
ahead,
to
Skull.
dragons, I prefer Eastern dragons over Western. I definitely prefer Eastern dragons over Western. They're a lot cooler. Um, there are some shows based on, like general Asian culture that have been very Americanized, and I'm incredibly disappointed because they managed to fuck up the dragons.
Are you talking about Ninjago?
Except for one. Except for one. They fucked up all of the dragons except for one, and it belonged to an old man, and we only ever saw it fucking once. It was a waste of time. It was stupid. Good God. Eastern dragons are cool. They're
Okay.
not that hard to fuck up. I mean, it takes a lot of stupidity to fuck them up. Why does everything need to be westernized?
I'll admit, I kind of like the look of Western dragons a little bit more than the Eastern dragons. Just because I like the wyverns and like the actual like well, not actual dragons, like wyverns, wyverns are still actual dragons. There's just different kinds of dragons.
Yeah.
So to those who say Skyrim dragons aren't dragons, they are still dragons, even though they're wyverns, whatever you want to call them. They're still dragons. So shove a stick up your ass.
Western dragons are definitely cool appearance-wise. It's just mythology. It's fun. Part of my slight lean towards Eastern dragons is because of the mythology and stuff around them.
And I think we can all say
Jeffrey,
we love
your thoughts?
dragons from Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Homebrew dragons are especially cool.
I know, just ask
Rainbow
Ruthless. He
dragon.
loves them. Rainbow dragon.
Right, no, song dragon.
Oh yeah.
Shelby.
I wonder what dragon meat tastes like.
You're fucking weird.
I'd like to imagine it probably tastes like whatever gator meat would taste like. You know, because lizards. You can't change my mind. Gators and dragons are just oversized lizards.
Mm, I mean, they're all considered reptiles, correct?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not 100% sure on dragons, but lizards and alligators. And crocodiles.
Lotus,
What?
your thoughts on mimics? Your thoughts on mimics?
Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Those things are annoying little bastards.
What are we talking about?
Mimics.
Mimics. You've never seen the meme where you've never seen the D&D meme where it's this D&D party being like, the
Oh,
barkeeper asks us why we're always bringing our weapons
yeah.
into the tavern. Mimics. The paladin responds. We all laugh. The table laughs. We killed the table. It was a good time.
It was a good time.
You get to kill a table. How often do you get to say that? Actually, no, I can't say anything. Fucking hate mimics when it comes to combat. You know, especially when you get attacked by a room full of them. You get attacked by a piano and a bunch of chairs, maybe a fucking bookshelf, some other random items.
Yeah, but usually you see them as chests, and they're usually most annoying thing.
Yeah.
Sharing with Kitty the the paranormal experiences here.
Oh.
Uh, it's fun because when I told her about the people calling my name when I was outside with no one around, she said it's probably family spirits, familiar spirits, familial spirits. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
She says they're the only ones that would actually know your name.
Interesting.
Yes.
You're concerning if something that you didn't know knew your name.
Well, you never know because it's like, can they learn your name just from being around you, or does it just, things like that? So like that it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. It just, I don't know, something about like if they're not familial spirits gives me a really bad feeling.
Well, I mean, yeah, because it's like, why are you here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
At least you're not a magnet like my sister is.
Could be worse.
That's true.
Excuse me. Just going to curl up and die for a minute because of the hiccups.
Okay.
What other monsters can we talk about?
Hmm. Yeah. I can't think of
See
anything
that?
I
Thank you,
know.
Google Images. Hold on. I'm going to the Monster Wiki to see if I can find anything I'm
God, your
familiar with.
lord.
What? What do you expect from me?
You're cutting in and out.
Oof.
Oh well, I think he's got to
Okay.
fix his thing. So, oh, here we go. He's back.
Alright. Does your voice work now? Um.
I don't know. We'll find out here in a little bit.
Oh.
Hello?
Okay, we hear you now.
Hopefully my internet decides to behave. Pain in the ass.
Modern technology, you gotta love it sometimes.
Um, like a general thing, I guess, when it comes to like monsters, ghouls, and whatnot. What do you guys think of like SCP stories as a whole? If you've heard of the SCP Foundation, at least.
SCP?
It's like a bunch of internet horror stories, essentially, centered around different things. Anyways, the SCP Foundation is like a website or whatever where people can share all these different stories based around, different haunted, whatever, mysterious, like, it's all sorts of stuff. Really cool. Some of them are creatures. You've got, I think it's not the rake. Fuck, what's it called? It's basically like a weeping angel,
Okay.
except you've got stuff like that. Then you've got I'm trying to think of one that you guys might have heard of because there's some that are like really common.
Mm.
I don't know. They're cool little horror stories and stuff though.
All right. Anything else?
Um, nah, not really.
Not any special ones we want to talk about. At least I think we spent a good time talking about the fun ones, right?
Pardon?
We spent a good long time talking about the big ones at least. Like, well, when I say spirit, I think spirits are the big thing when it comes to Halloween and all that jazz. Especially just for horror in general.
Yeah.
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 And I hope, Raptor, we might have scared you a little bit with our stories of the paranormal.
Fuck you.
And don't forget the orb caught on camera, too.
Yeah.
Which, Skull, did you say you've never seen that before, where it's been caught like that?
I've never seen an orb before, no. Like,
You need to
I've
watch
never personally
more.
seen an orb before. I've seen videos. I want to
Yeah.
get back into watching
I was say,
stuff,
give you a chance to
honestly.
watch some Ghost Adventures because they see a lot of orbs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And again, like some apparitions and
Oh my god. My god. I just remembered another episode that I remember very distinctly because my cousins and I made fun of it. But they were in, I think it was like this old farmhouse or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but it was definitely something that became an attraction because it was haunted and people would go. There was a rocking chair, that's all I remember. They freaked out.
the rocking chair would move on its own.
Yeah.
Is it one of those? Yeah. That's a negative spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah. Just remember,
God,
if
wasn't
things
there
move on their
wait,
own,
wasn't
Raptor,
there an
that's
episode
when it's a bad one.
oh my god. Wasn't there an episode where one of the dudes almost got possessed or something?
I think
Or
there's quite a few
did
of them,
get
actually.
possessed briefly?
There's quite a few of them like that, actually.
Mm.
Yeah, it's usually the places where they go where it has very well-known bad spirits. Again, like the one where they went to the island off of the coast of Italy. That was one of them. Zach kind of got momentarily possessed by whatever negative spirit was there, like the strong one. It didn't actually go away till they moved towards the docks. So, yeah.
Wait. Didn't they spend a night in the fuck, who were like the well-known exorcists? They had the movies based off of them.
Oh,
They dealt
wasn't
with
it?
Annabelle and all that shit.
I remember they
I
spent
can never
a
remember his
night
name.
in the house where the movie Exorcism was inspired by. The one that was based off real life events. They stayed in that house, and I'm pretty sure they were able to contact spirits in that house.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, on the topic of like, I guess monsters and shit. I like the haunted objects and shit are interesting. Usually it's spirits and whatnot, but you got your dolls, paintings, journals, or whatever that never seem to be destroyed by fires or like bad incidents that happen around them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
cursed objects
like
essentially.
cursed objects they're scary because of the power that they hold, but they're cool at the same time, fascinating. Like the painting of the crying boy or whatever. That thing's been through so many house fires, and it's never been destroyed. Never been damaged. You've got Annabelle, fucking Rob the doll. Rob is an interesting case. Little sock monkey, can't take pictures of it without permission. You can't walk by it without acknowledging it. Just a couple other things, like you basically have to acknowledge it, or bad things happen. It's cool. Scary, but yeah.
Why is it always dolls and stuff like that that get possessed or cursed?
Because reasons.
It's so weird though. Just saying that now.
I don't know. I'm sure there's like some explanation for it somewhere, like a theory on why.
Yeah, cause there's have to be a theory because there's no way you can actually like definitely, with hard cold facts why it's just these things when it comes to stuff that's already
I mean,
debated on heavily.
yeah. I mean, when it comes to, I don't know, I feel like with that, and this is just kind of like what I think on the matter, it's probably things that people can easily like get those close attachments to and connections to.
That is a good point. Toys and things like that would be easy
Yeah,
attachments.
toys, very easy. Well, even paintings, right? Like people, artists put their hearts into, most artists, I should say, they put some level of emotion into what they create,
Right.
right? There's that. And I think another part of it too, like when it comes to journals, like anything that usually people have an emotion attached to, right? There's that energy that you put into that item that makes it easier for spirits to latch onto as well.
That makes a lot of sense. Actually, it makes a whole lot of sense.
Right?
It's terrifying, mind you, but it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Have fun sleeping tonight, Raptor.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks a
You're
whole
very
lot.
welcome.
Welcome to the caffeine club, Raptor.
It's the camping club. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Oh, tomorrow's gonna be fun. It-
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
Hey, I'm good.
Raptor?
Hey,
I'm good.
After we've pretty much,
hey,
made sure you're not going to sleep tonight.
After you pretty much made me almost get a new pair of pants.
Hey, you're welcome. This is what it's like when you encounter the
That's
paranormal.
this is what October's all about. Scaring people.
And nothing's
God, I
scarier
might
than real life.
fuck. I might actually go try it. I might go try sit down and actually watch some of the Mandela catalog now.
Uh,
Fucking the concept terrifies me. There's something terrifying about, creatures, entities, whatever, taking the place of a human being and it not quite being right. And you know it's not right. They can't get the features right.
mm,
It's just, it's scary. There is something about distorted human faces that bothers me so much and makes me uncomfortable on such a deep level.
good to know. But I
Oh,
think we can end it there, Raptor,
Yeah.
before we scare you anymore.
Yeah, before I shit my pants.
You're welcome.
Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode and have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever the case may be for you, and we will see you guys next time.